Divided among the nations of Malaysia, Indonesia and Brunei, Borneo supports at least 15,000 known species of plants. Home to 13 species of primates and 380 species of birds, the Borneo lowland forests are a hotspot of biodiversity. This island, the size of Texas, is the only home for the proboscis monkeys. Named for the male's long and pendulous nose, these primates live in groups averaging 10 individuals, normally with one male and a harem of females. Closely associated with the waterways, the groups always return to the riverside at night. They have a very selective diet, feeding primarily on young shoots, young leaves, non-sweet fruits and seeds, and they can travel as far as 2 kilometers a day inland to find food. The biggest threat to these monkeys is the clearing and conversion of their habitat for the expansion of human habitation, agriculture and aquaculture, and logging. This has resulted in fragmentation of population along rivers and local extinction of remnant populations trapped in small forest fragments. Only 15.3% of the population is estimated to occur in protected forest reserves. An endangered species, the proboscis monkey is also protected by law in all regions on the island of Borneo. Restoration of fragmented forests is one of the main ways to ensure the survival of these primates. Appreciating this and the importance and value of biodiversity, as well as the proboscis monkey in Borneo, is agri-business group Wilmar International Limited. The challenge to Wilmar is finding a balance between addressing the global demand for palm oil while at the same time ensuring environmental protection.
Wilmar is contributing towards the conservation of a large population of proboscis monkeys along the Sagama River. We are doing a project, a riparian project, in conjunction with the Sabah Forestry Department, where we are expanding our riparian area by an extra 30 meters beyond legal requirement to rehabilitate an area of over 382 hectares. In this riparian area, we are enriching the habitat with over 13 different species where we've propagated from our own riparian area, as well as wildings and seedlings we've obtained from local community.
It's an excellent example of how good environmental practices are brought in, at the same time cultivating oil palm and taking care of the requirements of wildlife. And these corridors may be small, but they play such a vital role in connectivity and establishment of corridors, reconnecting them to the other areas of high forest. It is so important for the Sabah government to maintain its policy on conservation, particularly in the management of oil palm, simply because oil palm is a vital component of the state's economy.
Tabin Wildlife Reserve is known to have several endangered and vulnerable species, including the orangutan, the sun bear, the Asian pygmy elephant and the sambar deer, as well as the largest population of the critically endangered Sumatran rhino, protected by the Borneo Rhino Alliance.
Tabin Wildlife Reserve is special in relation to the critically endangered Sumatran rhinoceros. Tabin Wildlife Reserve is only one of 2 places in the whole of Borneo and in Malaysia where we think there's still a very small wild breeding population of the Bornean race of this rhino. Palm oil producers, particularly those with plantations directly around Tabin Wildlife Reserve, can help save this rhino from extinction in a number of ways. One obvious way is to help with funding. They can help beef up security against poachers and trappers, or they can help our staff in terms of logistics in the field.
Contributing to the protection of the wildlife in this important reserve, Wilmar's Sabarmas plantation sets aside a 527-hectare area adjacent to the Tabin Wildlife Reserve to act as a buffer between Tabin's wildlife and the Sabarmas plantation. This area is protected by Sabarmas' 16 honorary wildlife wardens, fully empowered and authorized by the Wildlife Department. They have provided a sanctuary for wildlife, enabling them to move freely whilst ensuring there is no human-wildlife conflict in the plantation.
The honorary wildlife wardens were formed to control the poaching activities going in and around Tabin, and their role is to patrol the boundaries between Tabin and the plantation, as well as to do roadblocks on the town to catch potential poachers as well.
They even assisted us in the public awareness, education when we have children or school children from the schools around Hadatu area.
Whilst the situation in Borneo is challenging, there are conservation benefits that can be achieved by committed companies, and some of these companies, like Wilmar, have already begun efforts towards conserving valuable animal and plant habitats for the future. Wilmar's conservation initiatives extend to other parts of Borneo and beyond.
Wilmar has a number of operations in Borneo, and therefore we have a commitment and a responsibility to help conserve the native wildlife. We have therefore developed a number of primate-specific conservation projects, including the riparian management project in Sabah to conserve the proboscis monkey, and we also have a conservation program for orangutans in central Kalimantan, based on the concept of running best management practices on an oil palm plantation. We also partner with the Zoological Society of London on a biodiversity and oil palm project, looking to develop best management guidelines for biodiversity on plantations and to provide practical methods for wildlife management and monitoring for the oil palm industry.
Wilmar recognises that conservation cannot be done in isolation. Thanks to the collaboration of governments, NGOs and the private sector, the future for these magnificent monkeys looks more secure. Although much remains to be done to find a lasting solution to the conflict between economic objectives and wildlife, there still seems to be hope left for Borneo's fabled biodiversity.